Man, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, the main event of tonight. And this match was definitely, undoubtedly, the best match of the night. I'm ready to get a 9.75 out of 10. Couldn't work out whether I would rate it 9.5 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. So I decided to do a 9.75 out of 10. And why was this match so great? Why was it so good? And basically, the stakes were high. The stakes were high for at least two reasons. First of all, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, CM Punk are all very compelling characters. Just very compelling. They've been built up as big stars in the WWE, and especially CM Punk. Ever since his return, his promos are on another level. I recently said in a video, CM Punk is the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. Ever since I said that, more and more CM Punk's promos on Raw, on SmackDown have been proving that, yeah, CM Punk is a special type of guy. People have been chanting his name, CM Punk, CM Punk. And when WWE was off in Europe, they were chanting pretty much everyone's names. But in the United States, people were always going crazy for CM Punk, even when he wasn't there. So, it's because I said CM Punk is the biggest star in the WWE that maybe CM Punk should be booked to win this big match before he eventually gets a title match at WrestleMania, maybe next year against Cody Rhodes, or maybe another year. But ultimately, I felt like CM Punk is the babyface, and the hero's journey, the journey against adversity. I think CM Punk is a man who does best and reveals his character. The strength of CM Punk is his mission against adversity. So for that reason, I felt like, Stone Cold Steve Austin lost against Bret Hart in that famous submission match at WrestleMania 13. So losing a match and losing it like a hero, going down in after giving it everything you've had. Yeah, that's a very compelling reason for a main event guy who should be pushed as the top guy in the WWE to lose. So, yes, Seth Rollins won this match, and I have to say I predicted that Seth Rollins would win the match, and I predicted the outcome would be exactly as it played out. I predicted that Seth Rollins would win because I felt like Seth Rollins needed Paul Heyman more than Roman or more than CM Punk. I just felt like Seth Rollins' character is quite ambiguous compared to CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman's obviously got the long history with Roman Reigns, so that act with Roman Reigns has kind of ran its course. And maybe he'll turn on Seth Rollins and join Roman Reigns, or maybe CM Punk at a later date. CM Punk doesn't need Paul Heyman, mainly because CM Punk's a talker. CM Punk's got excellent mic skills, so why would CM Punk need Paul Heyman? So ultimately, I predicted that Paul Heyman would turn on CM Punk at some time. I questioned whether or not WrestleMania would be too early, but ultimately I decided that, you got to do something memorable. This is WrestleMania. This is the main event match, and I guess maybe it's because it was booked as the last match of Night One of WrestleMania. I predicted that Seth Rollins would join forces with Paul Heyman, and it would lead to a big shock factor. Now, I was listening to Vince Russo's review of a few hours ago, and Vince Russo said, he saw it coming, and it wasn't that unpredictable, and I don't know. I predicted that Seth Rollins would join mainly because of the shock value, mainly because of the unpredictable value. I don't think this was unpredictable as Vince Russo said it was. It probably wasn't unpredictable for guys like me, people who watch this stuff, people who critique it, people who watch wrestling every week and think about this stuff. However, I do think it was genuinely predictable for probably a large majority of the fan base, especially the casual fans, and it's a big deal. It's a definitely big deal when Paul Heyman's lining up with Seth Rollins. Now, a little thing. I didn't see Seth Rollins make any eye contact or show any kind of adulation that or gratefulness that Paul Heyman helped him or turned on Roman Reigns and joined him. He didn't even look at Paul Heyman one bit, and that was a little strange. I always thought maybe they should shake hands to kind of symbolize this moment in time, symbolize this new alliance. But I'm not sure how long this is going to last, but maybe it should last a year. Maybe it should last until the start of next year's WrestleMania at least. But this was a very good thing, and the main reason it was good, apart from the shock value of ending WrestleMania, apart from this angle with Paul Heyman adding a very big essential element and a very big stakes to this match, I have to say that you have to tell a story. You have to keep a story going. And CM Punk's in the middle of this feud with Seth Rollins, a very hot feud, maybe the biggest feud of the decade, probably one of the biggest feuds in WWE history. Like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, you got to keep things rolling. You got to keep the ball rolling. And what better way to add an extra element in this feud between CM Punk and Seth Rollins than to have CM Punk's mentor, former mentor, a guy that CM Punk highly respects, join Seth frickin' Rollins. So this is great for WWE storytelling, and you got to just not think about the night, but you got to think about where it's going. So I'm very interested in seeing where this feud between CM Punk and Seth Rollins goes with Paul Heyman as part of this feud. So I essentially predicted what would happen. There's a great little spot where Seth Rollins said to Roman Reigns as he was down on the ground in the ring, he said, this is about you and me. This is not about him. He's an outsider. So he gestured to him to come out on the ring. So they gestured together like the Shield to do that famous Shield powerbomb through the announcer's table. But Roman Reigns, well, he turned on Seth Rollins, hit him with an absolute slobber knocker, but then he went through with it. A powerbomb from Roman Reigns to CM Punk through the announcer's table. And then Roman Reigns did another powerbomb through Seth Rollins through the other announcer's table. So that was a very strong, memorable moment, that sequence of events and that powerbomb that made Roman Reigns look very strong. And then Paul Heyman gestured to CM Punk to hit Roman Reigns, but he turned on CM Punk. He made it look like he was going to join forces with Roman Reigns, but then he did the exact same thing. He gave Roman Reigns the chair, but then he did the low blow, and then from behind against Roman Reigns, and then Seth Rollins gets the pin on Roman Reigns. And that part I don't know. I'm not sure why Seth Rollins did that, because Seth Rollins has massive heat with CM Punk, so why he didn't take out CM Punk at WrestleMania in the main event of WrestleMania after CM Punk had just been low blowed and hit with a chair, that part didn't make sense to me. Like, Seth Rollins should have pinned CM Punk at WrestleMania. He had the opportunity essentially to do so. So why did he choose to do it against Roman Reigns instead? So another thing, are we going to see Roman Reigns? Well, Roman Reigns is essentially a part-timer, so I guess now that CM Punk's back in his feud with Seth Rollins, this is a good way to write Roman Reigns off television for a little while. Speaking of writing off people from television, let's get back to the women's match. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. This match, it was a good match. It was a pretty great match. However, the major problem with this match was it was just sloppy. It was just a very sloppy match. And it's sloppy in parts, but the match was good. I was very hyped for this match, and it appeared that Charlotte Flair may have went off script. I'm not even sure if she did go off script or if she didn't. But it appears that maybe the reason she lost this match was because she went off script. Because I just felt like if Charlotte Flair was booked to win this match, it would have added an angle. It would have added an edge in the feud between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany. But it seems like maybe they just wanted to book Tiffany, the much younger new girl, the new champion, and make her look strong against an old-timer like Charlotte Flair. So that's the reason they gave the victory to Tiffany. But other than being sloppy, I believe the feud between these two girls, and I hope they go at it again. Hopefully they go at it in a steel cage or maybe a last woman standing match. So I'm looking forward to a match between these two young women, and It was a good match, but it just wasn't as good as as a feud, as this real rivalry. It just didn't hit that level. It didn't hit a 9 out of 10 for me. It didn't hit one of the best WrestleMania matches of all time for me. It was a good, solid match, but considering how much story these two women have with each other, how much real heat they have with each other, this match just didn't rise to the level of the story that story could have had. So, main reason I was interested in this match was just because how I really enjoyed the storytelling between Charlotte Flair and Tiffany on SmackDown. And I guess part of it was because it was real. So I don't know if Charlotte Flair lost because she went off script. But either way, I think maybe that was one of the best moments to go off script in WWE. Because I really think that line she said she insinuated that Tiffany's boyfriend, Ludwig Kaiser, was in her DMs, which was a bit catty, but I think it added an element of realness to this feud. And Charlotte Flair obviously has some failed marriages, and I guess that is maybe one of the reasons why she decided to go for that line. Gunther versus Jey Uso. And yeah, I'm not reviewing these matches in order. I guess I'm just reviewing them, I guess, from most noteworthy to least noteworthy matches, or whatever's fresh in my mind. So if you're watching this review, yes, I'm not reviewing the matches on the chronological order they appeared on the show. Gunther vs. Jey Uso. This was a good match. It's basically similar to the other match. I rated it 8 out of 10. It was good. However, I did think Gunther and Jey Uso had a much better match at Saturday night's main event. Gunther came off really strong in that match, and Gunther has beaten Jey Uso 6 times prior to this show. I did think it hurt Gunther that he tapped out. I had heard Gunther had an injury, and I don't know if that's real or not, but if he did have an injury, and that's the reason why he was forced to tap out so suddenly. So I disagree with Gunther tapping out, because I think Gunther had to lose this match because you're building up new stars. And Jey Uso, even though I'm not a big fan of Jey Uso, you have to acknowledge that Jey Uso has a big fan base, and that entrance he has, it's a very powerful entrance. It's an entrance that connects with the fans. So I predicted Jey Uso would win this match, and I don't think it hurt Gunther, because ultimately Gunther's a heel, and the heels got to lose. A heel's got to lose, and a heel's got to still look strong after losing, especially a heel's got to lose at WrestleMania. Triple H lost many times at WrestleMania. He lost against Batista. He lost against John Cena. Triple H lost many times. He's a heel, but he still looks strong after losing. And that's the type of heel that Gunther is. So I don't think it hurt Gunther to lose against Sami Zayn at last year's WrestleMania, and I don't think it hurt him this year against Jey Uso. I think Gunther's booked really strong, and ultimately I think you had to give this title to Jey Uso, basically because you got to make a star, and his connection with the audience and that spectacle of that Yeet song, that song, it's a very good song, but that song that Jey Uso has, it's a very compelling song. It's got a good rhythm to it. So Jey Uso, he had to win this match. The match wasn't an incredibly great match. The ending was just a series of dive bombs from Jey Uso before he put Gunther in the Gunther zone finishing headlock maneuver. He tapped out, which I disagree with, but if Gunther had an injury, then I guess it's okay. It doesn't hurt Gunther that much. However, if Gunther wasn't injured, then why Gunther would tap out, I just think the tapping out just made Gunther look weak, and I should have done my homework. I remember someone saying Gunther was injured, and I don't know if that's true or not, but certainly if Gunther wasn't injured, why Gunther tapped out and made Gunther look weak, very weak here, which I think is the first time Gunther must have tapped out. I think he only had only 1 or 2 or 3 pinfall losses, Gunther, in his entire 3-year career in the WWE, so why he tapped out at the grandest stage of Raw against Jey Uso, I don't think that was a good idea, but if he was injured, then I guess it's acceptable. Okay, so we've covered, I guess, the main matches for this show, the main matches I was looking forward to. Overall, I'll just comment on the set design. The set design looked fantastic, as per usual. These recent WWE WrestleMania events, the sets usually look great. The color design, it looked great. It looked fantastic. Yeah, so basically I've talked about all the essential matches, and let's just talk about the remaining few matches. So what were my ratings again? Yes, CM Punk, the first CM Punk and Rollins and Reigns, that's 9.75 out of 10. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, and Gunther versus Jey Uso, give it 8 out of 10 each. And both those matches felt very similar in terms of wrestling, although they told different stories. And the remaining matches, well, this show I think the match order was put together very well. He had the big title match between Gunther and Jey Uso. Then we had about a series of 3 or 4 matches which were underwhelming, and I wasn't really interested in watching, to be frank. But I had to watch it because I had to review the show. And then we had the final 2 matches, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair, and CM Punk versus Rollins versus Reigns. So the show had a good quality to it. I actually went to sleep after the first match, and I thought, I can't watch a show for 4 hours. I can't watch this for 4 hours, especially since I'm not really interested in watching the other matches. So I basically had a rest and took a nap until the Tiffany Stratton match came on. But I have to say that this won't go down as one of the greatest WrestleMania nights ever, because there was only one really good match on this show. Thankfully, it was the main event match. Thankfully, the best was saved to last. But it was historic for Jey Uso to win his first world title. But there was just a lot of just mediocre matches. I wouldn't say boring, but just mediocre matches. Jade Cargill versus Naomi, 5 out of 10. The reason I rate that 5 out of 10 is because Jade Cargill was positioned as a very tough badass, just a very tough badass woman at the Elimination Chamber, and this tonight she didn't really wrestle like a badass. She didn't really dominate like a badass. So it was actually the first time I saw Jade Cargill in the WWE at the Elimination Chamber, because I wasn't watching Raw and SmackDown last year. I was only watching the pay-per-views. But I got the position she was a badass in the women's division in WWE, but she just didn't come across like a badass, and she didn't destroy and just dominate Naomi as she should have. And if she's going to be positioned as a future challenger to Rhea Ripley or Tiffany Stratton, I just felt like on this grandest stage of them all, she should have done more of a dominant defeat of Naomi. So the match is just pretty average and mediocre, so I'm giving that 5 out of 10. I also give El Grande Americano versus Rey Fenix, I give it slightly high, 6 out of 10. El Grande Americano was obviously playing heel. Chad Gable, so kind of a comedy act, which WWE seems to be missing a lot these days. He had the piece of metal, the metal plate under his mask, and Rey Fenix, who looks great, jumped off the turnbuckle, and allegedly his foot hit the mask, but the mask had a metal plate, which seemingly destroyed the ankle of Rey Fenix, and Rey Fenix did some great selling right there, because, I mean, that I thought maybe he legit hurt his ankle there, but obviously there was a mask there, and then El Grande Americano got the victory off that injured ankle. So great heel, and Chad Gable's doing a lot of work, assuming that it is Chad Gable underneath that mask of El Grande Americano. The next match saw Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. This match was a good match. It was a hard-hitting match. It was pretty brutal match, but it wasn't a it was a very fast-paced match. It was pretty fast-paced, so fast-paced that I almost stopped paying attention just because how fast-paced it was, and it was a hard-hitting match, but it wasn't something that was extraordinarily memorable. So I'll give this match a 6 out of 10. Not very memorable, but a good, tough, solid match. So 6 out of 10, just slightly above mediocre. Kofi Kingston and the New Day versus the War Raiders. Well, in my opinion, the New Day are just most boring and generic team in the WWE. And I rate this match a 3 out of 10 because I just find everything the New Day does just boring and forgettable. And I will say I give them some credit because they used to be that joke that used to have those rainbow colors, those fruity colors, and they were just very annoying when they were playing those guys. So maybe I just can't get over that annoying character Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were playing for years that just totally turned me off watching the New Day with that incredibly annoying promos that they did. So I can't get over that. So this match was mediocre. I wish I didn't have to watch it, but I had to review this show for you. So 3 out of 10. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about all the matches on this show. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about those mediocre matches on the show. But obviously I had a lot to say about CM Punk and Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair, Gunther versus Jey Uso. Overall, this show was a good show. There was like 4 or 5 matches that were just mediocre. There were 2 good matches that were almost bordered on becoming great matches. Jey Uso versus Gunther, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Both 8 out of 10. I think both those matches should have been better, especially Jey Uso versus Gunther. If you're going to put Jey Uso over at WrestleMania, this match could have been better. The match at Saturday night's main event was a lot better than this match, and Gunther won that match. But the last match of the night, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, that match will go down in history as a great match, maybe similar to Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was inducted into the Hall of Fame as the first match to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame tonight in Las Vegas. So that match will go down in history like that match because the match itself, it was a great match, great competitors, great performances. They brought outside the ring. They had that spot where Seth Rollins told Roman Reigns to join forces like the Shield, bringing back nostalgia, bringing back old times from 10 years ago. And then the power bombs from Roman Reigns. He turns on Seth Rollins. Then he power bombs CM Punk through the table. Then he powers Seth Rollins through the table. And then the storytelling with Paul Heyman turning on CM Punk, seemingly for Roman Reigns, but then turning back on Roman Reigns and joining forces with Seth Rollins. So that was the match of the night. I think that match is similar in storytelling in essence to Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. That match between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, what was it, 28 years ago now. I don't think that match itself was particularly great other than the storytelling aspect of that match, of how it was a double switch and Stone Cold Steve Austin went in as a heel, came out as a face. Bret Hart went in as a face, came out a heel. This triple threat match between CM Punk, Reigns, and Rollins tonight, the storytelling aspect, the Paul Heyman element, who is Paul Heyman going to join? I was fairly certain that whoever Heyman aligns with is going to win this match, and whoever Heyman turns against is going to lose the match. And why Seth Rollins didn't pin CM Punk, don't know. Maybe they think it would hurt, but really it's a triple threat match, and CM Punk had Paul Heyman turn on him, so there's an out for Punk. And CM Punk obviously beat Rollins once, and I guess you could say Rollins was going to win the cage match, and he actually did win the cage match, but did he really beat Punk, or did Roman Reigns throw him out of the cage? So I'm very interested to see where this goes, because I think CM Punk and Roman Reigns, who I don't believe have ever faced each other one-on-one, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins have a lot of history to go forward from tonight on. So I'm very compelled and very excited to watch Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to see where this goes between Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. So in that sense, tonight's match was kind of like a fatal four-way. And I'm assuming Roman Reigns is going on vacation. Anyhow, we got CM Punk and Seth Rollins here. So no doubt Paul Heyman will probably turn on Seth Rollins at one point. And who he's going to join forces with, don't know. But I can tell you, I don't think CM Punk really needs him, because I think as Seth Rollins playing a heel, like I'm not even sure he is a heel. I think he might be a babyface to some extent, but it seems like everybody was cheering everybody for CM Punk, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in this feud. But if Seth Rollins has Paul Heyman on his side, he might become a heel to some extent. And I think you really needed the cards and the decks stacked against CM Punk for CM Punk to have that hero's journey, because CM Punk does well against adversity, and I think the heel needs an edge to deal with a competent competitor, an all-time superstar like CM Punk. So overall, this was a great show. Probably not the greatest night in WWE WrestleMania history. Certainly not the greatest night, mainly because there's only one match that really excelled and did something special and did something WrestleMania worthy, and that was CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. So overall, Night One of WrestleMania, I have to say they sent me to sleep and sent me home happy after that match. So I enjoyed this show, and I think I enjoyed it more than last year's Night One WrestleMania. And I'm very excited for tomorrow's night's WrestleMania. And there's a lot. I actually have a lot more interest in tomorrow's night's matches than these matches. Like, I'm looking forward to a lot of the matches tomorrow night. Tonight, I was only really looking towards half the matches, or 3 of the matches out of the 7. Tomorrow, I'm looking pretty much to all of them, and I might have to watch them straight with no break. Although watching 4 hours straight of anything without a break is pretty difficult. So yeah, so I'm gonna upload this video. I'm feeling tired. I'm actually filming this video in my car because I usually record myself on my computer, so that's why there's no video of myself tonight. But I've got some cool graphics and I've got my match ratings for you to enjoy. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, but that's not over, because if you enjoy this video, I'm going to be reviewing Night 2 of WrestleMania's matches, and I'll tell you where the story will go and where it's going to go from here. And just one more thing before I go, I'll tell you my predictions of what's going to happen. I don't want to keep this video going too long, but what are my predictions? I think John Cena will probably win tomorrow night. There are a few counter arguments why he might not win. The first is that Cody Rhodes is the babyface, and he's obviously much younger than John Cena, and he's going to be maybe the face of the company to some extent for quite a while, maybe up to 10 years, maybe 5 years at least. So would it help Cody Rhodes elevate to another level to beat John Cena at WrestleMania? Whereas John Cena only has less than a year left as a WWE. So although I don't think it'll hurt Cody Rhodes to lose, because I think he'll probably get a rematch at Backlash or SummerSlam. So if John Cena does win, I don't think it would help him to lose the title suddenly. I think he'll probably lose that against Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam or Survivor Series or much later in the year. So I think John Cena should be champ, and I don't think it'll hurt Cody Rhodes, mainly because I think maybe some people will get involved. I think John Cena is going to be a heel in this match, and he's probably going to cheat to win. He's probably going to do an Eddie Guerrero and cheat to win. And just a little Easter egg for tomorrow's night's main event. I think Ric Flair would get involved, because John Cena is obviously chasing a 17th world title run. And Ric Flair, the 16 world champion, I don't think he wants that to happen. And I said on social media, he spoke out against John Cena becoming 17-time champ. I think he said something like, I'm going to do something about it. So Triple H is very close to Ric Flair, and I don't think Ric Flair is signed with AEW. I think he's a free agent, so I think Ric Flair will be there tomorrow night if Triple H is smart. And I know Ric Flair loves the spotlight, so I think Ric Flair should definitely get involved to make John Cena's predicted 17th world title win seem that more epic. I mean, what more could be more fun than seeing Ric Flair say, woo, 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 as he gets his ass beat by a heel John Cena, 30 years younger, ripped and shredded, in shape. So, what are my other predictions for the night? Well, I'm actually predicting Io Sky will win the women's triple threat match, for a similar reason to why Seth Rollins won the triple threat match tonight, and that's because I think she has the most to gain from winning the triple threat match. And I also think that Rhea Ripley's been on top as champion for so long. I'm a huge fan of Rhea Ripley. She's probably my favorite WWE Women's Champion of all time, primarily because of her in-ring work and her character work, and just her facial expressions and her music and her presentation. But similar to CM Punk, I think adversity needs to bring out another side of Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley's kind of playing a heel character right now, although the audience don't seem to be reacting to her like she's a heel. So I'm not really a big fan of Io Sky. In fact, I find her kind of boring. But, when there's 3 people in a match, that's one of the advantages of the triple threat match. And I love the triple threat match. And tonight's main event of Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Rollins, I think that proves definitively that the triple threat match isn't some sort of gimmick. My favorite matches in history have probably been triple threat matches, and tonight's main event proved that. And I think tomorrow's women's championship match will prove it as well. Anyhow, I'm not sure I have any strong opinions on who will win tomorrow other than those two. Yeah, I don't really seem too invested in these other ones, but I will make predictions and I'll let you know if my predictions are right. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night as I review WrestleMania Night 2. Hooray, we're only about 6 hours or 9 hours until WrestleMania Sunday starts. So see you tomorrow night.